Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. Do you have your tea?
I've got my tea.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Dude, your hair looks hella cute. I could have
Thank
quarantine
you.
hair like that.
I need to color in my little edges here, but I'm letting it grow out. So I'm thinking about twisting it or whatever. But yeah, so I was trying to because when I was speaking to you earlier, it was all like in different directions, like Gumby, and I was like, okay, now you need to like at least tame this shit, honey.
So that was your technical issue?
No, actually, I was having a technical issue with
Okay.
getting the setup on the computer. No,
You're
that
like,
wasn't.
I need a few more minutes. Technical issues. And I'm technical difficulties.
Yeah, so no, that was not part of that.
Nowadays, I feel like every day is a technical difficulty that I'm trying to get through.
It really is. It really does seem that way.
Right?
Oops, got my little jet needs
So
to.
were you just traveling? I saw on your social that you were like
Yes.
getting in some black car.
I was coming home from that was my local driver here in Atlanta, but I had a work trip, so I went to Florida and Long Beach, California.
So how is it traveling? Last time you said that it was a lot cleaner than usual. Are you seeing it more packed? What's the
More people. Still not busy, but busier than it was when it wasn't a ghost town. There was activity in all the terminals, and my flights were pretty full, not completely full, but they were pretty full.
hmm.
But people were still distanced, as best they could. Um, and the planes though were still clean, and now they give you Purell if you want when they to wipe down. They just ask that you not put it in the seat pocket. Um,
Why would people do that? I hate it when people leave stuff behind.
because people are trash, honey.
Shut up. It's like it's like no home training, you know?
Oh my gosh, yes. Um,
I don't get that.
but they give you something to sanitize and wipe everything down. They give you a mask if you don't have one when you're boarding. Um, they're very mindful of, it's a whole different onboard experience. There's no service now.
No
Uh,
service. They don't like give you I saw a friend, I think she was on United or something. They give you like a bag full of
Delta has been doing that like beforehand, like when you're boarding or whatever, they'll hand out a bag with a snack or something in it. But as far as like getting up and going up and down the aisles, they'll go back and forth cleaning, but they're not engaging and touching and grabbing from
so
passengers.
no drinks, no food.
My flights, they were shorter flights. I'll see I'm taking a flight to California next week. I'll see what that's like.
Can you come
But
and play here?
LA.
Hmm.
So I may come up to the Bay Area. I'm trying to see if I can swing that in or not. Um,
So, how do you feel about seeing your mom? Because both of us have moms that are elder.
yeah, so I'm comfortable. I mean, I had a COVID test that was negative. Now, of course, I've been traveling again, so now I need to have another one.
Ooh, I can't
Uh,
stand. Oh, you gotta tell me about that thing they stick up your nose, that big ass Q-tip.
yeah. So, do you want to talk about during the show or?
Whatever, whenever.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. If we talk about, I can talk about traveling, and I can talk about. You could ask me if you want about that, and I can definitely say.
This is behind the scenes. The show started. No, no.
Oh, it did. Okay, good. This is even better.
The funny thing about the YOLO thing is it's just us talking. So that's what I love
Right.
so much. You know what I
So
mean?
yeah, that is yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's what you get. You see what you
exactly.
get. You see
This is
what you
what
get.
you get, boo. Like it or not. One of the things that I have been super duper inspired about, and we talked about this briefly last time, but dude, I rewatched yesterday Michelle Obama's Becoming.
The
And
documentary on
yeah, the
Netflix.
documentary on
Okay. Yeah.
Netflix. And because I had read the book. Well, actually, I didn't read the book. I wanted to listen to her because I wanted it as though she told me the story or reading me the story, right? And so I listened to it on the audiobook. And then, like yesterday, I was in a meeting and a work meeting, and then we were just like, let's watch. They're like, oh, let's rewatch it. So I just like rewatched it last night after dinner, and then like I took notes because the first time I watched it, I wanted to like just experience it and just watch it all the way through without being distracted. And then this time, I actually took notes in my gratitude journal just about the like little pieces of wisdom that I feel like the world needs so much. I mean, I don't want to get political, but I just cannot watch anything with this administration.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
The Michelle Obama is in a league of her own. It's like, and in a way, I mean, she was to me, not that Barack Obama wasn't dynamic. She wasn't just his sidekick to me. You know what I mean?
Not at all. No, she's
Okay.
more popular than he is. Right.
Yeah, she was her own thing. But the one thing I love about her so much is that she was able to be who she was and she embraced what is. And there's so many little spiritual gems, like even the fashion part, because I love like interior design and fashion and all that. But she
Right.
was just talking about at first she didn't realize like how much people would be ridiculing her shoes that she's wearing and all that. And so she's like, okay. And she kind of like took it on as a game. And to get through this pandemic and just any difficult times, and you and I've been through a lot of difficult times. For me, it's just like embracing what is. Eckhart Tolle teaches that. The author of the A New Earth and the Power of Now. It's just once you know that it is what it is, and you embrace what is. And she took it on like a game, and I think of life kind of like a big ass game.
Right. No, and it is. It really is. I've had co-workers, especially recently, because they're going to announce layoffs in our department and how it's going to affect whatever, like in a couple of weeks. And there's a lot of anxiety. And so I've been trying to talk to a couple people and say, listen, we've been through storms before. You'll get through this. It may not be fun,
Yeah,
but you'll survive. You can't worrying yourself and stressing yourself out over what you can't control. This is a corporation. They're going to do what they're going to do. So you can choose how you react to, but it's putting yourself in all this anxiety ahead of time when it may or not even affect you is kind of like wasted energy.
yeah, it's wasted. It's like leaky energy, and I feel like when you do that, even if it hasn't happened or will not happen, it's happening in your body already. Like
Yes.
scientific studies show that your body is going through that stress.
Right. Right. And you're just bringing that on. I'm like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm like, listen, child, I will be fine whatever they decide.
Yeah.
My life will go on, so
Yeah.
I don't know. But very,
Yeah.
very
I think that's,
interesting.
I mean, for me, the steps that I go through is like trying to work on my mindfulness and being aware of every time I feel that worry or feel that stress, because we're human beings, we're going to feel it. But then what is real? What can you do? And what can you not do? And then how do you react to it all?
And how do you react? And what is it teaching you? What is it brought? What is the experience brought here? Why did this experience come to you to teach you something? So hopefully you get that lesson.
What is this teaching
And
you?
clearly you didn't get it the last time because you're freaking out this time. But what?
So whether it's a pandemic or an illness or a loss, I mean, you and I have suffered a lot of loss from loved ones. I just realized that when we die one day, we're gonna have a lot of angels on the other side, that we
Yeah.
all by name. You know.
None of us gets out of this alive, so you may as well, while you are living, make the most of it and
Yeah.
stop fearing what you can't control. So
Yeah, absolutely. And so in times of, you and I were talking earlier about just, and in our conversations lately, just about the concept of like when you're in despair or your last leg, and um, you just don't know where to go, like you're pinned up against a wall. Um,
yeah.
where do you go to find strength? And I blogged about this the other day. I want to share the story, but I wanted to hear from you too. I was really curious when I was writing my blog and doing the video for it.
Well, for me, I don't know necessarily that I personally get to a point where I feel like where it's hopelessness. I don't allow myself to get to that point, but that has come from years of. It's not that I've never been in that space, but it's been from years of kind of practicing being spiritually astute and spiritually aware and spiritually present at all times. So I personally don't necessarily hit the wall of hopelessness, but seeing, having friends that have committed suicide that I did not see coming in the past couple of years, I'm thinking, well, we were just, so what was it that, that where could they have possibly turned
Mm,
before taking that, making that decision?
mhm,
And so for me, I guess my thing is if you constantly feed yourself and you constantly reaffirm yourself when you're in the moment going through stuff, like, okay, yeah, this sucks, but okay, let me experience this. Like, if I'm fully present, it sucks. You know what? I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills this week.
mhm.
That sucks. So and it could make you feel hopeless, but you should never your well-being should never depend on external factors, especially such as something like money, which, yes, we need it to survive. We live in a capitalistic society. I get all of that, but it should not. I don't, it's not uh, the, the end all be all
Yeah.
for the truth of who you are as a person.
Mhm.
So for me, I guess it's just practicing those baby steps and taking it step by step, and not allowing yourself to be overwhelmed by the entire picture. Because if you look at the scope of everything that's going on and all the crap you've got to worry about, yes, you will want to do something harmful to yourself, because it's like, okay, I just want to escape.
Or to somebody
Um,
else.
yeah, right. Definitely.
I've been
But
very
you just got to
irritated
kind of take it
with
one,
yeah.
address one thing at a time. Okay, so this particular problem, what's the next step to overcome this challenge? Okay, and then build on that. And what do I do to overcome this next challenge? But trying to take it all in and do it, that's just overwhelming. With
Mm,
anything, whenever you just think about something like that's so massive and there's multiple layers coming at you, you're going to be stressed out.
yeah.
But for me, I'm just like, take it one step at a time, and address it one step at a time, and just know that you're capable of getting through this. You
Mhm.
would not be This experience would not have come to you if you were not able to learn from it and prosper from it. So that's just what I believe.
Yeah, I love that because I always think of when things, whether it's a pandemic or losing several people at once, like I've experienced, or my brother-in-law's suicide. It's so foggy and unclear. But if you just take it step by step and breath by breath, the fog will dissipate and clear up. And the sun, the rainbows, it's all on the other side, you know? But you just have to be aware that you're freaking out about it. And I think that whether it's finances or health or whatever, a well-being of your child or a good friend, beloved, if you aren't aware of it messing up your vibration and causing so much woe that you can't eat and you can't sleep, then you got to just go to that breath. You got to go to that thing, that internal wisdom, that well of wisdom. And I'm creating this academy of youth to teach kids social emotional intelligence. And one of the things that we do talk about is just the social emotional intelligence, the science of the way your brain works and breath and all that, and mindfulness, and how that helps you be healthier internally, externally, physically, mentally, spiritually. But there's this kind of thought too about whether or not it it's ancestral or DNA, it's in your DNA. And I come up from a family that, like our family, we're Chinese born in Vietnam, but my dad had been homeless as a kid, made a ton of money in the construction business, left everything after the fall of Saigon in the late 70s, and I was only like under a year old, and we were refugees in Indonesia, and we stayed there in cardboard boxes, literally in a refugee camp for 2 years. And at 3 years old, we ended up in South Sac in the house, South Sac, and 10 people, $4 in our pockets, and I call upon that every single time. And I remember every single time that I feel like I can't get through something. And it's less and less now, as you said, like as you continue to do the work and flex that spiritual muscle.
Right.
But I wrote this beautiful blog that I'll share on this link, what we share on social media, but about Ama. And Ama's story, really quickly, is my paternal grandmother. And every time I play that little violin for a quick second. I say a quick second now because it used to play for long.
Like all day.
I know,
Right.
all day, all night, like a Tony Braxton song.
Right.
Breathe again. Right? And I think about my grandmother, and imagine being uneducated woman in China, and you and I can share, like what we've been through, as you as a black man and me as an Asian man, kind of growing up, here in America. But uh, there, the way women were seen back in the day, there were like third, fourth, fifth-rate citizens, and my grandma had no education. They had this farm in Chiuchao, this little village, back in the day, and she had 3 kids. Her husband dies, and she ends up fleeing to Vietnam because a supposedly beloved family friend said, "Come here." She goes there. They slam the door in her face.
Wow.
and just kidding. And so she ends up on the street selling whatever she can, like little shampoo bottles, recycling stuff on the street, cardboard boxes, aluminum cans, with three little kids. And what the story would be, that I feel like she died of heartbreak, because fast forward many years, she lost her, not only her husband, but all, we think it's six kids, but she never told us how many total, like stillborn, miscarriage, or whatever. My dad and his brother died in their later midlife 50s. But can you imagine, like, losing your partner and then losing all of your children? And
Right.
yet she was never famous or rich or featured on any magazine or whatever, but she had so much wisdom, this well of wisdom that she's shared with me, that helps keep me grounded. And I call upon her. It's reminded me a lot of, I said this in the video and the blog that I created about Ama, is that it reminded me of the late poet Maya Angelou's, one of my favorite quotes, when she said, "I come as one, but really I represent 10,000." And she calls upon all our ancestors in all these times of need. Or even as a motivational speaker, when I step up on stage, I just also call upon all of them to bring, I am here and you are here. And this is a beautiful part, because of those that have come before us.
Of
And
course,
I'm
right.
just getting the chills saying that. And
And
just,
you can't lose that connection, because
oh,
that's where the
I
power
know.
lies.
I know, right? I'm just getting the chills talking about it, because if you just know, like, how special you are, and how special I am, and how special we are, you just take.
And aware of the people that came before you and the sacrifice that they made so that you can have the things that you have, no matter how stressed or bad they may seem at the moment. No, we don't know bad.
Right, and it makes me think about, like, even your day to day, when you're engaging with your clients, or you're engaging in the world, with when you're going out to get some takeout. Like, how I think our legacy, all of our legacies, no matter what title or education or whatever you have, is how you treat people and made them feel. And one of the things that really touched me, I want to talk, I want to ask you about the becoming Netflix special, that the what touched you most. But one of the things that touched me most, I told you I took notes, was the part where Michelle was like, I get a glimpse. She's not mesmerized by, like, the fanfare of the big crowds and stuff. And while she's grateful, I love that she took time to meet with, like, little black girls, little black boys, you know what I mean, the youth. and
Right,
and one of this Latina girl was like, I don't know why I was brought, why you invited me here. You're like, well, I'm not that special. I just go to school and I work. And she was like, wait a minute, but you're working at your age? And she's like, yeah, because I have to take care of my dad. He's sick.
right.
And it makes me want to cry, because we've experienced that for ourselves. And Michelle was like, you know, we're not all just a statistic. And I feel like we're so much of education is about being a statistic. Social media, how many likes you have, how many followers, who's following you, right? And I just feel like we're much more than that. And when she says, you know, the the changes that are happening right now, like, they shape your soul, right? And she said the more important questions are not what school did you go to, but what was your grandmother like? And I'm just getting teary eyed, because before I did that blog about my grandmother, who's super taught me all the spirituality and still values in me, I was called upon to share her story, because she kept coming in my dreams, in my meditations, you know, and I had to share that grandmother wisdom. And I think I edited out of the video, but I was like, I don't know. I think maybe five people will look at this. I don't know. But I had to be called upon to, I just felt like I needed to share her story,
To share it, right.
right?
To,
Of wisdom.
to keep it alive. And
Hmm.
that's, I mean, I think that's very important. I do a very similar thing with my grandmother. I hear her every day. Her influence on my life is felt every day. There are physical reminders in my home of her, definitely. But then there are just things in the way that I navigate through life, and that I am able to navigate through life the way that I am, because of her and her sacrifice. Because she grew up in the Depression. So
Hmm.
she went from having, like, literally having nothing, to
Hmm.
building herself up. And yeah, an amazing story. So yeah, I'm very aware of that, and I'm very in tune with that. I'm very appreciative of it. And I always try to honor it, find some way to honor it every day.
Can you speak your grandmother's name? What's?
Yes, her name was Doris. I
Doris.
called her Gang Gang. My mother tried to get me to call her Grandma when I was little because she knew that would drive her nuts. And Grandma came out with Gang Gang, and my grandmother loved it. My mother was like, "Oh, this child."
So she's an OG gangster, yo. But yeah, my grandmother's name was Lou, and I just call her Ama, you know. And
Yeah.
she's just so special because I remember like every day she would pray to the ancestors, and she would like light the incense and pray. She was Buddhist, so she'd pray to Buddha and pray to the ancestors for this word in Cantonese. It's called Ping On, which is peace or well-being. And as a kid, you're in and around this, and you don't really know, like you know, but the beautiful thing about being a kid is you see a flower but you don't call it a flower, right? And I
Hmm.
think with this it was just like I was in and around spirituality around her so much. And I mean, we were poor as hell. The carpet was all nappy. You know what I mean? And we were on welfare. Like and just like there were drive-by shootings outside and things like that. And but I just always felt like there was this womb of energy, and I try to surround myself by that womb of energy. And we all have it. And if we just tap into that, that's just so special. And there's this concept that later in life that my other mother figure, my good friend Keely, her mom Mary, would in high school she would teach me this thing about the white light, and she's Catholic, and spirituality has nothing to do with religion. But as a kid, I remember being so scared and feeling so full of lack, um, that I remember putting this white light around me as a kid in prayer. And Mary, who I call mom, would explain to me that, honey, that's a white light, that's protecting you, the energy field. And I'm just getting the chills. And I just feel like whoever's brought to you, whether you're going through, you know, domestic violence, or somebody wronged you on the street, a stranger or whatever, is this learning lesson right now, and know that you're protected and loved, and that you can make that one thought and that one decision and call upon that one physical person, the one spiritual person to pull you through, because there's only one way out of this pandemic. It's through.
It's through it. It's to get through it. And it's interesting because in this whole tech savvy world, or not tech savvy, but also tech dependent, because
Yeah.
literally I am a junkie. And so when it comes to my phone and my devices, but I have found some important lessons there when I've chosen, because I've gotten so accustomed to reaching for my phone to maybe check my social media or the news or whatever. And I said, well, if you're going to be picking up a thing, why don't you pick it? Why don't you put something on there that's worth picking it up for? So I'm not um, promoting that. I don't have an official partnership with this company or not at all. But this app called Calm, and you may have seen that there's pictures of LeBron James promoting, and I've seen them all over like Times Square. And so I ended up downloading it. And so I actually pick up my phone using that app a lot because there are wonderful meditations on it. There's sleep music. There's storytelling. I was like, who wants to hear a story? I'm 52 years, almost 52 years old. I don't want to sit up and hear a bedtime story. And I find myself like listening to them, and then I have to play them back in the morning because they've actually put me to sleep. But I have found that this app has been something that I can reach for the phone and get
Positive.
something productive out of. Because
Yeah.
basically, I'm going to turn something on and put the phone back down. And it's
Yeah.
either going to force me into
Uh,
maybe a meditation or some level of present level being.
mm,
And so I absolutely love that. And I'm sure there are other apps out there. I mean, I just found this one. And like I said, I don't have it's not sponsored by this
yeah.
company at all. But I have really been loving it. And
I.
another thing
Mhm.
that I found also in social media, my Instagram, actually your Instagram, um, it's interesting because I'm scrolling through, and each day you're posting that, Coit Tower and the
Beautiful things.
sunrise
Beautiful things I see.
and all
Energetic.
these beautiful, peaceful things. And I realize, and what I realize is like, you know what, I can look at this image and it puts me in this space. It puts me in this space of, yeah, when I'm at peace and I'm at calm, yeah, that's what those experiences do. And now I can particularly relate to your experience because I grew up in San Francisco, so I know what a sunset is like coming up over Coit Tower.
Mm.
But it was the reminder of seeing that in my Instagram, like, oh my God, this actually put me in the emotional space of peace. And it's like that's what imaging can do. So again, I had to remind myself, watch what you're feeding your spirit, watch what you're watching, watch what you're scrolling through, watch what you give your attention to. And something as simple as your
Oh,
post out your window
oh.
reminded me of just how powerful imaging is.
Mm,
I think about it all the time in the context of vision boards and future boards. But sometimes you just lose track. Like, no, your Instagram can actually be. It doesn't have to be toxic.
yeah.
Um, so finding those type of images, and it just reminded me that there's power in that because you're taking a picture, you're sharing your experience, and I'm scrolling through my phone. I'm like, but it's putting me back in that mental space, and I can feel what it feels like to sit there and look at something beautiful and just sit still and appreciate it. So thanks for sharing that. And
Oh,
I mean, you have them every day, but it's like they really do put you back in that whole front mindset. Like, oh,
thank you so
yeah.
much for sharing that because I share little vignettes of my life of the beauty that I see, and a lot of it's nature or just interior design. But I just believe that there's an energy in all of that, and what you said is so important. And taking it online and offline, think about the people in your life who you need to edit out and unfollow, right? Okay.
The list is growing. Yes.
Be mindful of how you feel when you talk with people, and it could be a stranger, it could people beloved like soul brothers and like us, but be mindful of how you feel when you're with them, and when you leave them is your sort of cell phone battery, your energetic field lower or higher, and then adjust accordingly. And I think imagery is so important. One of the things that I really love, I feel like I'm not getting there's no partnership with this becoming thing, but like one of the things that I love so much is I just keep coming back to it because it was such a refreshing thing that I needed at this moment in time, especially with everything that we're going through. And at the end, you have these little kids, whether they be POC, people of color, or trans, him, her, they, their, you know, it's, it's so amazing that they have these affirmations at the end. And they're like,
Hmm.
"I am love," and it's so important. These affirmations I used to think, what you got? Well, you're gonna put a post-it note up in your bathroom? What? That I am beautiful, but you need to have that that kind of
Constant reassurance. You
yeah.
have to constantly, because what people don't realize often is that they're doing affirmations whether they realize it or not. Now, most of the time, you're doing negative affirmations. You're worrying about something, so you're replaying that. Okay, I don't have enough to make this happen, or I need this. I don't have that. Yeah, well, those are affirmations. I don't have enough money to pay my bills, and you'll never will as long as you keep saying that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you switch that energy to, I don't know, I may not know how this is going to happen, but you know what? My bills are paid in full. Now, looking at my checking account and looking at this bill, in the material world, this may not make sense. But if I have to constantly believe that this bill will be paid, or whatever your challenge is. It will, you have to constantly affirm the positive of that. Otherwise, you are affirming the negative. And the negative is what's going to continue to show because that's what you're giving your power to.
No, I love that so much. Yeah. For me, I I want to continue to be in this zone and this space of knowing that this too shall pass, this pandemic or whatever you're going through.
Hello.
I like that. Hallelujah. And in the wise words of Michelle Obama from Becoming, she says, "Don't let this shape what will be. Don't let what's happening now shape what will be." And that is so powerful because you are more than your bank account. You are more than how you were wronged in the past or abused or whatever. Uh, Regain your power and go back to that ancestral root and just say it. Just say, "I believe that. So believe that." And it's been my um, mantra and my prayer to God and to ancestors and say, "Please hover over me." I learned that from Carolyn Mace, spiritual
Hmm.
teacher. Hover over me. I don't know where to go. I need your help.
And be open to that. And you will find it.
Mm,
You will find that path.
yes, exactly. And to have for me that have reminders of people like you who I got so giddy like a little schoolboy before we got a, you know, when you were like, okay, I'm ready. I'm like, hey, and then I was like, whoa, calm yourself, T, calm yourself, you know? And that's such the biggest gift is to know that you are loved. You are
Right.
more than your circumstances,
Yep.
right? And then once you rise from the darkness to the light and share it with the world and illuminate others.
Amen. Namaste.
Mwah, I know.
I love it. Love it.
I
Love it.
know,
Love
me
it.
too. Well, have a great day. I just feel so full. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful one, guys.
No, you too. Talk
Take
soon.
care.
Mwah.
All righty.
All
Bye
right, see ya.
bye.